Hi, here's Florian, and I have today a new guest. So introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. My name is Jörn Hendrik, and I'm a solopreneur and facilitator in this space and area of new work. And happy to be here.
Do you want to tell us something about your journey, how you became, how you got into the new work thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea was to dive into new, flexible ways of work. So I started being a coworker over 8 years ago in Hamburg at the Beta House, and I invented a little kind of a new job. So I was a consultant for HR departments in the area of social recruiting. So the idea was I stuck with the quote by Robert. Oh, what's his fucking name? That's good to start a podcast by Robert Scoble, the Microsoft blogger. And he said, a company without a blog is like a house without a window. So my kind of mission was to help companies get more transparent and open up for their candidates. And doing that, which it didn't fail completely, but it was very hard to convince at that time, like 6 years ago, corporates using social media. And because I saw it is also organizational design, right? You have to talk to the IT guys and the HR guys. They don't like each other. Marketing gets in the way. So it was more of organizational design. So I learned about Scrum and Agile. I learned about design thinking. I learned about innovative processes. I learned about startups, of course, being an entrepreneur myself. So I mix all of that together. And since 8 years now, I follow this kind of buzzword hype. And the actual buzzword today is new work. A couple of years ago, it was Enterprise 2.0, so it constantly changes. So it's just a buzzword hype for explaining that digitalization and comes with change in organizations.
Yeah, awesome. Can we go back to this time? So what was you told also a bit like about the experience, about the challenges into a company. So how you mainly solved them? Like what was your way when you succeed? How did you solve this problem? Is it like the departments didn't like each other?
I mean, it's for me, it was always to make them, if it was about like opening up a blog or a Facebook page, it was like helping them to see why it's fun to do this, and helping others understand why it's fun to do little postings, videos, to ask for permission to actually shoot photos of your colleagues and set it out there. So it was always engaged in fun ways of experimenting why social media is good for you and to open up. So I think what worked best was to go into the company history, find interesting points that you could publish, and to make them actually. I have to say that for German companies, it's a lack of self-esteem. So it's like, we're not interesting enough, or we're not, what do we have to say anyway? And it would be like to kind of find out these little gems in the company history to actually do this, right?
So awesome. So the track record was you go first probably to the boss, like to the CEOs, get their agreement. Then your job was to bring this message down to the departments and then show them how it's really cool and how it's fun and how they can bring value to the outside world. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be the top-down approach always works perfect. So if you have companies like, I don't know, for example, the German e-commerce giant, and not Zalando, it would be Otto actually from Hamburg, Otto.de, and they have a very beautiful approach of engaging with their employees. So they actually they're blogging themselves, so also the kind of management is blogging, and actually CEOs is blogging too. So that is good to make content from that side, because it encourages actually the employees to also do stuff. So talking about big corporations would be that way.
Oh yeah, that's also a really good idea. So that they live by example, and then like the employees get motivated to do it. So that's probably the second way how to do it. That's pretty cool. So what happened after this time?
I mean, what I worked a lot with coworkers, freelancers, and I had this crazy idea of creating a fluid network, an agency without an agency. So the idea was to work from over coworking spaces from Vienna, Aarhus, Denmark, Berlin, Hamburg, and like spreading this network of coworkers, and being an agency literally made of solopreneurs, freelancers, and experts. And that was a nice idea. A lot of people loved it. They were really, I created some kind of little hype, but in the end, like corporations like Daimler, for example. I remember a very interesting telephone call with the purchase of department of Daimler in Stuttgart, and they were like, okay, you want to work for us? That's good. What about a payment rate for 120 days? And I was like, what? Okay, forget it. We're going to work for you. This is not possible. And actually, then I really got bankrupt in a way, because I had a smaller company where I had a Facebook marketing project also, and this is happening as usual for agencies, that you have a bigger tranche of a project and they only like order the first round, but you're conceptualizing with your freelancers, texters, developers on the second round, because you want to go further, and then actually they quit, and this is how I nearly got bankrupt. So I had to leave Hamburg because of that. Joined a startup here in the area of New Work too. Really like them, still around. Yovoto.com. They're a creative crowdsourcing company. Got fired there because I'm unemployable actually as an entrepreneur. So, but I always say that with a smile. I still can talk to the CEO. It's okay. It's fine. And then I found my own company. So little projects coming out. So I'm now living on consultant-based work also, but my solopreneur project that I did and back then founded with my co-founder Inken is the Superheldentraining. So combining various insights of my life, being a new work recruiting consultant, putting the human being up front. So it's a B2C concept.
So first question, why are you unemployable?
Yeah, totally. Being unemployable as an entrepreneur means that you always have ideas to change stuff, which is not good in a team that you work with. So of course it's great to be innovative and have good ideas, but if you constantly want to change everything, that's really bad. And it's not that I'm not capable of working with teams. I think it's totally fun to work with me in a team. But the main problem is, and always was, that my ideas clashed with the ideas of the CEO, and the CEO is the fucking CEO of the company. So his ideas over mine, and I was not able to accept it because I knew that my ideas were better, and I told him. So that led to my to my situation of being fired.
So you were always like the person would ask why we should do it this way and not this way. And then it was just a clash. It's like really interesting. Like in the other podcast, I think it's episode 3, there was going about how to generate growth. And the main idea is in growth is you have ideas and you test them, and you test like everything, and like you don't stop about everything. And like the main point he also said is it only works if the management, the CEO is absolutely behind you. Like they have full 100% commitment to that, and you have kind of priorities. So nothing holds you back. So it's actually I think for the new way to work, it's a really good way to ask everything and then always improving. So how you define again new work in one sentence?
Yeah. New work is a way of reacting to the change digitalization brings to the workspace.
Okay, so it's mainly focused on the workspace. So it's probably focused on the problems and on the advantages which come with that.
Totally. So it's about collaborating. It's using also, it's not only about using tools, but it is of course about using tools. So if you have home office work time, free work time, not time fixed work time, then you of course use video conferences, Slack and stuff like that to catch up. It's about like agile project management tools like Scrum, for example. I'm a Scrum master too, so I really fell in love with this concept of organizing agile and this kind of way, talking about maybe leaving the hierarchy behind. Talking about holocratic concepts of working together, transparent salary schemes, or all of this kind of ideas of organizing new. And for me, it's not only rooted in digitalization aspects, but digitalization brings so much upfront positive aspects to make work easier that I think it is to me it is completely combined and works along.
So what is always your main goal if you go into a seminar with a big company or with a seminar with a startup? Like, what is your main goal? What do you want to accomplish for them?
So my pitch sentence would be, I'm a craftsman for new work. So I have a toolkit of various methods and concepts. I don't stick to one. I try to get everything. And my main focus is on creating best results possible with a group. And I'm not interested in what kind of results it is, in which area, whom is in there. I just want in that moment, in that day, or on that week or sprint or whatever, create the best results possible for that group.
So what are the main problems they come to you? Like, for example, on the one side, the big companies, and on the other side, the startups. Like, what is the main question they have to you?
So there are huge differences between how startups work, how medium-sized companies work, and how big corporations work. So big corporations is the easiest part because you can really define it very simple. It's just hierarchy. So the closer you are to the gravity center of a corporation, the harder it will get to be innovative or send out new ideas. It's because the gravital center will just crush every idea. Because as a corporation, hierarchy and structure is good, and you want to actually everyone fights to actually content that. So you can see how like a corporation like Daimler, who really tries to make up swarms, being more agile and stuff, really clashes with their own employees who said, oh, why we have to do this again? So it's the own laziness of the corporation that actually hinders being innovative. Small and medium-sized companies have the problem that they are faster, they can move faster, and they have more relaxed owners, CEOs, who often have great energy. They understand things pretty well, and they really want to go. But their problem is that, to my mind, it is a combination of the speed startups have and the structure corporations have, and they get caught in that too. So they are bigger than startups and big enough big enough not to fail, but still they have to convince their employees also to go. So that the gravity center is not that big, but still they have to work that through. And to my mind, they are not that advanced as corporations. So they have pretty good education. They have amazing organizational design when it comes to that. So Daimler has great tools of doing design thinking, for example. Small and medium-sized companies don't have that. They have the will. They have I would say they have the fun and the right energy to do this, but you have to teach them from the beginning. And startups, to close my argument, would be they are amazing in speed. So they are the speedboats in this idea of new work. So they adapt very fast. All of them aligned. They find they have their purpose done right. So they're caught fire, and everybody is making overtime to create what they do. But they have the lack of structure and security. So they always fight for the next investor round. They always fight to actually pay someone. So it is very difficult for them to have sustained work. And therefore they have a lot of this burnout methodology. And often CEOs are pretty, they have to fight a lot to actually sustain. So it's a hard time getting along.
Yeah, correct. So Let's start with the big companies, like how you normally help them to come over the gravity field. Like what is the approach that you help them to handle that?
So when I work with corporations, it's not that I work myself with corporations because I simply can't. So they don't employ freelancers. So I have great agency partners that I'm working with, several. So the Dive, to name a few, Ignore Gravity actually, that I borrowed this idea of gravity from, and Design for Human Nature in Hamburg is a great agency too. So I love working with them because they give me the security to book me for a daily salary, and they have a team, and then they go on, and that's a big secret. So for example, working with the Dive for corporations means they have beautiful teams that already working agile and in a holacracy. So that's great to have fantastic teammates who are pretty keen on having feedback contests. And that would be my first point. Working with corporations would be creating an atmosphere that actually allows people to open up. So especially in big corporations, there's a huge fear of the hierarchy. So am I saying the right thing? Can I actually do this? Can I be creative? Can I be innovative? And who allows me to actually be innovative? So a large amount of creating the right atmosphere to be innovative with corporations is to get rid of the fear of being crushed in the gravity field of hierarchy.
So how you said, like, how you open the space, how you make them clear. Now now you don't need to worry.
Completely easy tools for everyone to take this who listens is make opening rounds. So let everyone speak up freely. And I would start with little like tools like, for example, what made you smile in the morning? What was the first time you smiled in the morning? So usually you don't talk at all about feelings and this kind of stuff in corporations because you want to be, on point and you want to be effective. But bringing back like actually human feelings into the workspace and opening up brings a lot of change.
I would guess now that like one person will give an answer, like let's say the sun is shining, and then everyone else copies the answer because then this is the safe answer. So how you handle this problem?
Yeah, it's actually I give pretty open examples. So I'm pretty open and vulnerable in these rounds. And actually, it's almost always the male participants who talk about their children, and then it's so amazing. If you talk about your children and why they made you smile, everything is safe. So that's beautiful. And yeah, if you only receive bullshit surface answers, you have to dive deeper. Yeah, that's one of my roles as being a facilitator.
So you just then ask the next question, like with a more specific emotion question. Then
why did the sun make you smile?
Yeah.
Have you had enough sun in the last weeks or?
Pretty good. Yeah. So. And then you build up the environment that like then the real design thinking stuff and so on that can come up and that they see then the results coming out of there. Yeah, interesting. So you normally drive to them right in their offices and then do it in their seminar rooms, I would guess.
I love working in amazing workshop spaces. So the partner in Hamburg, this design agency, they have a beautiful ponton at the Elbe, River Elbe, which is like a boat, and you can see the water. You can actually have a great time doing mindfulness work there if you're with a group. So that's amazing. And but I also worked at bullshit, shitty corporate offices, which is okay too. It's always better to open up and have a creative environment, but you can work everywhere. It's okay.
So, what was your feedback after that? Like, did you talk to the companies then again after 1 or 2 months? Like, what did they do with the workshop knowledge, or what they learned, or what they saw and felt and experienced on the workshops?
I mean, what I say is like the possibility of failing and that all the work we're doing here is lost is pretty high. So it's good to set a bit of an expectation, especially with corporations. Okay. But, I have to say that over the last 8 years, I'm working in the field of new work and like asking and answering questions of how change and innovation works. I have to say a lot have changed. So there are actually amazing approaches of being said, like Daimler has really amazing projects in agility. So they're actually doing this seriously, right? Of course, we have this kind of zoo safaris to Silicon Valley where everyone looks and Deutsche Bahn did that, Axel Springer did that, Daimler did that, and and only the laziest that will follow now will do that too. I mean, I heard there's a fantastic quote at Facebook employees when they say, and they were like, Daimler was like saying, so this is now you're receiving us and can scare us a bit, and then Facebook just answered, no, actually, no, and it was like, now you are scared that you're hosting us. That was what Daimler said, and Facebook was, no, actually you should be scared, right? Because now you will learn what it means to change. So, and what was your question again? Sorry.
Yeah, it was kind of your answer to this on this point. So, if middle companies come into your workshop, like what do you focus on there then? Where's your focus?
So middle-sized companies, you can work out beautiful plans with them. You can go and really dive into to work with them. So I have a beautiful company in the north of Germany, and they are specialized at dentist software. I really like them. Dumpsoft they are called. So they're market leader in dentist software, which is beautiful. And they are a software company, but they still want to go into the online marketing and like in the online area. So I'm setting up teams, I'm setting up projects, I make innovation. We're doing deep dive for target groups. So what kind of content does the target group acquire, and what they want to read? Dentists are very special, a niche target group, which is beautiful because you can do a lot with them. And then we set up and we go. And I think for me, it's always to have a sustainable innovation process. So that goes with the team. I can see that they're a bit overwhelmed now because they learn what they have to do: email marketing, Facebook marketing, analytics, setting up relaunching the site and everything. So that's a lot of work. And then step back, making team process, then talk through results, making a lot of questionnaire and insights, and then we going on. And actually, I love this agile approach because then you don't know what's in the end. You just have this goal of maybe rising sales or unique visitors to the site, but the answers are coming while you're working with them. So it's always to ensure them that we're on the right track, and I can see the light in the end of the tunnel. And now we have found out beautiful topics for strategies that we're doing. We're just by simply asking them, and it's so funny that always like the simplest questions are not been asked. So. Yeah. That's always, it's plain to see. I only have to be a meter in front of them. So that's basically my job.
Yeah, okay, awesome. So in the last group, the startups, like what you focus with the startups on?
I build a lot in sales and growth hacking with them because that's a topic that I teach for like incubators, accelerator programs and stuff like Midsized or Lead Sports Accelerator or even SVB Kraftwerk. So it's a energy provider in Bremen in Niedersachsen, and they've created a little accelerator too. Actually, it's pretty big, and then it's on working with them on a mix of pitching, investor pitching, clients, customer pitching, setting up sales funnel the right way. And then what I love to do is to focus with them. How can you actually combine sales funnel, sales management? Because that's the most important part for startups, to actually get yourself out there and actually make acquisitions. So to actually keep the promises you did for the investors, and then combine it with the online marketing funnel, right? So, and I found like several over like the last 3 or 4 years, I found the right way to connect online marketing funnel with sales funnels, and setting up CRMs like for sales CRMs, right? Customer relationship management, for example, like Close.io or Pipedrive or stuff, Salesforce or stuff. So I help them to create their database, and then we're setting tags, we're making the email marketing, and it's pretty hands-on work, right?
So combining means you combine the offline, the online world in one system, like in one CRM system, and then everything comes together, correct?
Yeah, it would be actually beautiful if someone would do it the right way. Startups are always completely chaotic, and they have usually Google spreadsheets shared that they are doing their stuff. So bringing them to a proper CRM, and I really like pipedrive.com. It's like I'm not an ambassador for them, but I just simply love it because they have a beautiful app, and it's you can with Zapier you can connect everything. There are others too that are good, but I really like them. And then setting it up, making processes, just who does the calls? How do you make the calls? What do you write into kind of activities? How do you set up deals? What is the sales funnel like? What is your sales acquisition costs? How do you measure it? Where do you go? And this is the kind of basic work I do. And with that comes knowledge, and with that comes power, and with that comes success. So it's a pretty straightforward work.
So you help them to set up the simple sales process, like what you need to track your data and to track your success, and then learn from mistakes you do there.
Most common mistakes for startups, thinking in sales, hiring some kind of students or interns. Please make me a list of the biggest companies in Germany or like Europe or maybe the world. Go, here's Fortune 1000 companies and just copy the info mails and let's go in there. It's like, oh my God. It's like when I remember my first sales days, I was like, we actually were illegally asking our business partners to give org charts for us. And my colleagues were always like, yes, I have the org chart of, I don't know, Allianz. Yeah? And then I was like, great. And now, do you know them? Do they know you? What will happen if you call them? So you have to make connection and then how to make connections and how to actually dive. That's where I prosper a lot of my facilitator know-how because, this is what comes easily through the telephone or stuff. So.
Yeah, like sales, doing good sales is like a magic on its own, definitely. And then the farm role is, sell it as fast as possible and you sell it best if you talk to your potential customer right away and then listen to him, what he says back and why he doesn't buy it or why he buys it. And then out of that, you can shape your product and your company out of that. So yeah.
2 quick tips for every listener here. If you're in sales, 2 really fantastic tools that you can use. First is called 15-word sentence. Please make a pitch sentence in 15 words and you stick to it. Yeah. And you're not starting, my name is Jörn Hendrik from 99 Startups or Florian from 99 Startups. And you sell as a podcast for entrepreneurs. I deliver maximum value for growth hacking and blah, blah. Boom. This is your pitch sentence. Stick to 15 fucking words. If you have 13 words, there's no magic in it. It's simply boring. If you have 18 or 20 words, then you actually have too much information in it. Some buzzwords who mean nothing, and actually your mother should understand it. So limit your pitch sentence to 15 words. And another amazing tool is the FAB sentence. So you combine facts with advantages and benefits. And then you create a sentence that speaks to your customer. So I would say 99 Startups is a podcast. That's a fact. The advantage is I interview amazing entrepreneurs for you, so you don't need to interview them. And the benefit is you can save your time because you can listen to the podcast during your workout, your gym, and during if you're on your bike, right? So a combination would be 99 Startups is a podcast where I interview rare entrepreneurs you wouldn't get in front of a microphone, and you can listen to it during your day-to-day work. So that's killer sentence.
You're hired.
Yeah, great.
You're now hired now. Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good tip. And again, on all startups, definitely don't underestimate that.
Yeah.
Like how we already said, like in the pre-interview, like the main reason why startups fail is they're running out of money, and then sales keeps you in safe that you don't run out of money.
Yeah.
So awesome. What is your biggest challenge today?
So I have my little heart project, the Superheldentraining. I'm a superhero trainer. We founded it actually to have this title because I think it's awesome to have a title like that. And the idea is to help people find their career superpower. So I believe that we make poor use of our talents. We make poor use of what lies into us, especially in Germany. We are pretty bound to having a safe job and not pursuing our passion and stuff. Talking to entrepreneurs it's so easy because entrepreneurs, they're following their passion, they're doing what they do, and so they just have to be successful or keep on going. But in surroundings like Berlin, where it's like a la land for entrepreneurs, so amazing. Just go to Brandenburg, 70 kilometers after Potsdam, and you will find a place which is so not inspiring and impassionate. Everyone will tell you to get a safe job. So this kind of work of finding your career superpower, motivating, is my heart project. And I developed workshop concepts. I wrote books for it. We had a crowdfunding campaign. I have videos and stuff like that and everything. So I have a lot of content. Developed an own typology. Everyone is, of course, invited during the test if you want to put it in the show notes. But I don't have a problem of creating content. I have too much content to be exact. I have a conversion problem. So how do actually people subscribe and actually leave the money. And the workshops are running well. The project is well known, but still I have to kind of convert it. So what I'm doing now is to completely make new online sales funnels and make this up. And I'm really wrapping my head around this and getting to know my target group more and more. And it's really a hard time.
Yeah. So if I think on your problem, like the first thing I would try to identify is which are my perfect niches I can go in, where my customers staying. And there would be one niche, for example, young students which finish schools and then saying the question what I do next. So you could go to the schools or to the I don't know, the IHK, like Handelskammers, which are maybe already do something in this direction, or you go to the Arbeitsamt. So I would probably try to go into this market and figuring out what are their needs, like what are their main problems, and how I can help them there just to get the feet into the door there, and then like maybe start something out of there, and maybe make a connection to companies which you can guarantee then because they made your test, they fit way better to their Ausbildungsjob, and then you can take money off that. But this would be very one way how I would try to solve this, and then the other stuff just online is different funnels, and then test your 15 sentences, or you test your facts summaries, and then check out what they do on your website, and like if they click first on it, and then what they do on that, and then you can figure out there. So that's probably spontaneously this would be the two niches I would try to conquer, and then see what's coming out there, and then maybe pivot to another niche there. But it makes sense probably to go on the really young people after school, to go on the people after university, but it's kind of normally they have sometimes also a job idea where they want to go, and then maybe the people which are unemployed, or maybe the people which need to go back into a job because they did a trip around the world, or they got children and they had a house there. And then each niche probably needs a different 15 word sentence, maybe, probably. And then test out each niche and then check out what the response is.
Amazing, thank you. That's so great ideas. I mean, I know a couple of target groups, and then it's always a question of how much time do I have to actually verify all of them. I really like the approach of like young people who actually go into the work area. So that's a very nice approach. Also like the Arbeitsamt, the work agency approach, so that people who are looking for. And what I found out is that if you go into it, mainly my target group is female, so I have 70% female participants in my workshops and tests. And I mean, I did a lot of research. I have over 3,000 people that actually carry out my tests. So I have a lot of results, a lot of data. And it's so amazing if you go into one niche, how much it opens up. So you ask yourself, okay, why women? Because most of them are between 28 and 38, and they are mothers coming back to the workspace, and now they want to change. They don't want to work in, like, if they come more of the agency and kind of communication area, they don't want to work at the same agency anymore because they want to have an agency that's child friendly, because they're more like of mothers right now. And then and then you have so much details opening up. If someone would ask me if I would dive into that area again, I probably would not do it, because it's so complicated, because you have so much every day. I learn new stuff about my target group, and it's amazing how many 15 word sentences you have to actually text.
Yeah, that's like normally like that. If you start a new venture and you don't know anything about it, then it's pretty good, because you're way more motivated to go into that, because you don't know what's coming up, but you learn mostly a lot. Yeah, awesome. So, and then like I would probably always go first on the reactions of the people. Like if you get behavior changes of them, if they do certain stuff for you and they follow you on what you advise to them, and then you have something, and then you can connect them to people which have, like, all companies which have this framework, and you can also ask them what's for them important, and if you then normally connect them, that's probably then the business model how I would try to get money out of it, just out of my head. Cool. So how you keep sanity? Like how you balance work and the other stuff?
Whoa, yeah, to be honest, it's a lot of stuff. So that's a very good question. I have to answer myself. I would love to say that I'm a vegan, do meditating and mindfulness techniques every day, and I stand up 5 o'clock in the morning and do it. But fuck you, I would never do that. That's a lot. It's way too much stress on top of the stress that I have. I have a 10-year-old daughter, so she's great of just, taking the bike, going outside, doing stuff with her. So that's relieving. And I do Aikido, which is a Japanese martial art, which I really like. But too little, to be honest, because I'm traveling a lot. I actually do mindfulness, so it's a bit, meditating is a great way of doing that. But, whenever I can, I sleep a lot. And I try, which is difficult if you have a daughter, but she was away overnight at a friend last weekend, because I really could see that I was loving sleeping out and without any pressure of making breakfast or anything, and just really sometimes take a break, even when it's 2 days. I really I see to it that I have holidays or something, and I just book something. Last trip was Prague, Czech Republic, which was amazing, at a spa hotel, and just doing it and allowing yourself to actually relax, come down, and being out. So just booking stuff. Book your holiday in advance, and just to plan your time out.
Awesome. So what is your strategy to have a nice combination between work and family, like that not one of them gets too short?
Yeah, it's always struggling. You always have to see. My wife's pretty good at reminding me when I'm only at my computer. So I have a home office. I love my co-working space here in Berlin, the Beta House. That's where you fetched me for this interview today too. But I have 1 or 2 days in a week co-working days, and the rest I'm just home, because I'm traveling a lot, and then I'm just with them. And it's awesome to see my daughter coming back from school, so I have a little break, talk to her, help her with her homework and stuff like that, and then I cook for them, and then when I'm away. So I always try to be there, and it's going with the flow. I think it's a bit don't be too stressful in getting any shitty routines, and that's bullshit. If you have a family, that's not possible. You have to go with your weekly flow, and save some time when you can. So grab it when you can see it, and not planning and standing up 5 o'clock in the morning and meditating. It's a good idea, but if you have to work until maybe bringing my daughter to bed, waiting until my wife's sleeping, and then finishing some work, I will not wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. It's not. I have to save up my energy. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow.
Just be normal.
Just be normal.
Please.
Just be normal. Grab it when you see it. That's a really, really good point. Grab it when you see it. So what's your way to educate yourself? What's your favorite books, for example?
Oh, yeah. I can always feel several topics coming in. So I hear a lot of podcasts. So adding yours completely to I just did it. So that's an amazing thing. Podcast is awesome. And then diving into the books. Most of the podcasters they're telling from. But then there are topics that come to my mind out of my facilitating stuff. I'm pretty huge now into Theory U from Otto Scharmer, which is a kind of organizational change theory. It's a bit esoteric, but I love it. It's great. The idea of walking through you and to actually convince organizations and teams to make a fundamental change at a certain point and then go further. That's awesome, because we often forget this and just proceed and then fail utterly. So that's a nice one. And then I actually do workshops myself. So I have coaches myself. I have a coach that I'm in recent contact. I do book freelancers actually. So it's going well. I'm earning enough, and now I'm actually putting into work my own coworkers to help me with my project. So I'm booking. I have a fantastic email marketing specialist, Camila, and she just helps me setting up all the automations, and just book her. So I invest in my own projects, learning from them, and actually I'm using it for my own project too. So that's good too. And I would never go to you said Handelskammer, so the Chamber of Commerce, and doing some kind of workshops there. I mean, it's not that it's bad, but usually they book me for doing workshops there. Yeah. So actually I see someone that I like, and then I'm working with her or him, and that's usually how I do it. And yeah, my product owner workshop is due to November, so I'm keeping pace with Agile. And basically, I have to say, to keep on pace and learn new stuff is to learn it and then teach it. So I actually let clients book me for money to do the work that I want to carry out. That's the cleverest part.
Yeah, if you can teach it, normally you understood it. So teaching is a good thing to see if you really understood it. And for the protocol, we have nothing against the IRK. They are like really good people.
Totally. It's okay.
So what's your favorite podcast?
Good question. I'm listening till the beginning to Michael Stelzner's social media marketing podcast. Okay. It's a pretty huge one. And I always swear that I need to go to San Diego to go to online or social media marketing world. Of course, Tim Ferriss is always some bestie when I dive into that. And I really love, because I'm a huge fan of philosophy, I love the German Soziopod from Patrick Breitenbach and Nils Köbel. It's awesome. It's like 2 hours of deep philosophical questions. I'm a teacher at the School of Life Berlin too, so I'm really into that kind of philosophical ideas related to work topics, which is pretty great. So they are actually at the Republica coming up in May, and I will moderate the panel when they have the live Soziopod, so I can really recommend that.
Sounds awesome.
And your podcast, of course.
Thank you very much. It's going way better because you're now on it. So the last question, what would you tell your 20-year-old self if you could go back in time and you tell yourself something? What would you say to him?
Yeah, beautiful question. I would say keep up the good energy. You will need it. It's completely fine. You're absolutely correct. Don't be too concerned what others say. So just proceed, go your way. And don't start smoking, please. Would also be advised. That's bullshit. It's very difficult to actually to quit again. And then I would say it just take a good start into new projects and keep up the good energy. You're completely right. You're okay. You're fine.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. And I imagine myself, like, you see yourself from the future, and like he talks really deep to you, and then at the end, plus, please don't smoke. You're like, God, that is shit. Like, turn off the cigarette now.
Turn it off now.
It's like good, awesome. So I think, do you have something for the end you want to tell the audience, which burns on your soul? You need to get out.
Burns on my soul. Yeah. I mean, I would actually say that to every listener. So if you have an entrepreneurial way of getting yourself out there, even if it's an intrapreneur, when you're employed or someone, just do it. Fight for your idea. Fight for the passion that you have, because there's only one life, and you should really try to be best part of yourself and make use of your superpowers. So just please don't let some stupid excuses stop you from being your best self.
Awesome. And like always, you will find all the sources, websites, all the informations we talked about in the blog post, and then see you next time. Thank you very much.